Hey everyone, welcome to the Restorative Reading and Writing for Wellness podcast. I'm Stephanie, a book-loving, notebook-hoarding reader and writer on a mission to change lives one book and one notebook at a time. On this podcast, we explore the power of books and notebooks as tools for wellness. Reading and writing can help us feel better and make life better too, and I'll show you how I do it. You'll find episodes exploring the research behind reading and writing for wellness, practical strategies to embrace your own restorative reading and writing, and you'll meet authors and special guests who help us take inspired actions in our own daily practices too. So grab a notebook and your TBR list and let's dive into today's episode. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Restorative Reading and Writing for Wellness. I'm Stephanie and I am back. You may have noticed last week there was a bit of an interruption in my podcast schedule, and you can blame 70-mile-an-hour winds in a windstorm and a loss of power and a loss of internet for a really long time for that. But I am excited to be back, and today I have a special guest. We are going to do another Build Your Book Apothecary segment. Today I'm talking with Dawn. Dawn is an OG member of my private Substack community, literally the first member ever. She's been a longtime listener of the podcast and is one of my best book besties to share book recommendations with. For her book Apothecary, she is looking to cultivate her one-word theme of the year, which is grace. She wants to focus on letting go of certain things, on embracing imperfections, on being more kind, on setting better boundaries that allow her to be present, to embrace more calm and more peacefulness, all of the things that I think just about all of us might want in a book apothecary. So we're going to talk to Dawn today, and you're going to hear about a twist, a little challenge Dawn had for me in creating her book Apothecary that relates to the one-word theme that we're focused on inside of Substack. So without further ado, let's get right to the Build Your Book Apothecary episode with Dawn. Dawn, welcome to the podcast. I'm so glad you're here today.
Thank you. I'm so excited. This is so exciting for me. Last time you and I were on, I was asking you some questions. So today's a little bit different.
Yes, you're right. I should have said welcome back. That was a while ago. That
It
was
was.
towards the beginning of the podcast where we turned the tables and you got to interview me about all things reading and writing. And now we're back. Now we're back where the roles are reversed to create a book apothecary for you. So I am so glad you're here. You have been a longtime listener of the podcast, and you, I'm pretty sure, were member number one inside my private community. So you are the OG, Dawn.
All right. And proud of it. Proud of it. Love our community. Love it.
Yes. Okay, so we're going to create a book apothecary for you in this particular season, but with a twist. So before we jump in and you give us a little background about you and who you are and what you want, I want to tell listeners that inside our private Substack community, the month of March, as a tradition for the last couple of years, has always been a one-word theme around our love of books. This month happens to be bibliophilia, which is a really cool name. And we have pledged, maybe with our fingers crossed in some instances, to read from our shelves and to attempt to not bring too many new books into our lives in an effort to get to the ones that we know we have always or already wanted to read. So your apothecary today has a bit of a twist. You have challenged me to help you create a book apothecary with the books that you already own. And I was like, game on, challenge accepted. Let's do it. You beautifully arranged your Goodreads shelf so that it was an easy task for me. And so I just wanted to highlight that for everyone in our community. Those one-word themes just bring us together around reading and writing. And that's no exception this month. And it seems fitting that you are here doing that, connecting that theme because you are such a longtime member. So, okay, got that out of the way. This is a special case of a book apothecary. Tell us a bit about you and your background, Dawn.
All right. So I was in the education world, still am a little bit, for over 30 years before I retired 2 years ago. During that time, half my career was a teacher, mainly in third, fourth, fifth grade. And then I was a literacy coach for the other half. And during that time, I worked with adults, helping them and coaching them, especially when it came to literacy and reading. And then my favorite part of the job was when I could do some intervention and work with those striving readers that just really needed that help to either, make that aha moment of what they needed to help them either learn to read or love to read. But 2 years ago, I decided to give that up and have been home doing a little bit online with some teacher training. But I also am an avid reader, have been kind of like you, Stephanie, reading since a young age of like 4. Used it for an escape, always wanted to, I always had a book in my hand. I remember my mom would take me to the library, but one time she bought me a book and I read it so fast and she goes, "That's it. I'm just taking you to the library from now on. I'm not going to buy you any more books because you read them so fast." So I still am a pretty, fast reader, avid reader, but I have a little problem with always being kind of distracted by those shiny new releases. And so I tend to find those new releases and those other books sit on my shelves. So I have quite a stack of books that I have not read. And I'm like, what can encourage me to maybe read those? So did you want me to talk a little bit about my words of the year as well right now? Kind
Yeah,
of.
we'll get there
Okay.
next, but I do want to
Okay.
say whenever I think of you and your reading life, I think of you as my FOMO reader because you are so good. And I know you just looked at it as a negative, but you are so good at keeping up with what is current and being in that reading flow when the rest of the world is in it. I am not as good at that. So whenever something comes through book reads of what Dawn is reading or when you send out your monthly newsletter, you are always the person that kicks me to read the newest book. Most recently, the one that I have literally just finished, picked it up because of your recommendation. This book made me think of you by Rita
Hmm.
Cage. You were one of the first person I knew who was reading it, a couple of others in the community. So you inspire my reading because you are always so up to date. So now I'm glad that maybe I can do the inspiration a bit in reverse and go to the
Good, good.
lists of
Yes.
people.
Those poor books on my shelves that, haven't been touched, need a little love too.
Yeah. Yeah, they're waiting patiently.
Yeah.
Though you'll get there. Okay, yeah. Now let's go into a little bit more of what you're looking for, that be, feel, do framework, maybe what you're growing through in this particular season. Give us some of the details of what you want your book of Apothecary to do for you.
Yeah, so when I was thinking about this to help you out, to kind of give you a little structure as to what books to find, every year I've chosen a word now, it's probably about my fourth or fifth year, but my word this year is grace. And I really, I think about it before picking it. And to me, grace means treating yourself with the same kindness, patience, and understanding you would offer a loved one, particularly when you're struggling or have made a mistake. So that's something that I'm a number one on the Enneagrams, if people follow those, right? Where I'm and an upholder with Gretchen Rubin. So I'm always, kind of got that perfectionist tendency in me. And so I'm trying to give myself more grace, and especially during this time of retirement, also an empty nester. It's been a little hard from go, go, go to let's just give myself some grace. And it's okay if you don't do something today on your to-do list, right? I can
Yeah.
sit back and spend some time doing a little reading. So then that led me to that framework that you often have and talked about, be, do, feel. And when I think about that with the word grace, for me, it's to be less in control of everything and to be kind and patient to myself.
Mhm.
The do is having grace with myself. I would need to continue to work on self-compassion, being mindful, present in the moment, and setting those boundaries. And then that would help me feel. calmer and more at peace if I did these things. So those are kind of the three the be do feel that I'm thinking of this morning. Lots of books on my shelves that might match that or not. So I'm curious to see what you found.
Yeah. I mean, this may be your book apothecary and your be, do, feel framework, but I can imagine there are a lot of listeners right now just nodding their head saying, yes,
Hmm.
yes, me too. Yes, more grace. Yes, more kindness. Yes, more calm. Yes, more peace. All of those things. So I imagine you are going to inspire a lot of others to pick up some of the books that you already own because I know like my shoulders were just sinking down a little bit as you were going through your words because I think I need them too.
Good.
So I'm glad to be able to share some of these today. Now, when I went to your Goodreads account, right, because that challenge was to choose books that you already own, the upholder in you so nicely updated your shelves. You have 552 books on your want to read list. And out of those, there were 164 books, at least at the time when I took at it, labeled I own it. And so
Hmm.
those were the categories. That was the collection of books that I was choosing from. And I admit, I really loved that you're here for this book Apothecary because I know you as a reader. And we both know our reading taste. And whenever I think of like revenge or mystery or like that kind of drama, I think of Dawn, right? And
Hmm.
that is kind of the MO for you, so to speak. But a book Apothecary is different. It's not just leaning into the genres that you love or leaning into your typical reading lives. It's using books as tools for becoming that version of yourself that you want to become. So it was really neat for me to go through the list and think, "Ooh, that one's for Dawn. Oh, but wait,
Oh,
is
no.
it going to build this?" So that's the neat thing about a book Apothecary. It's a little bit different than the typical books that you would read in an attempt to help you, right? To give back to you as the reader. So I looked at all 164 of those books. I pulled out four. I pulled out four of the books that you already own, and admittedly, I may have four more that you don't that came to mind as potentials, but we are getting towards the end of March, and that
Yeah.
means all bets are off. We can go back
Okay.
to reading
Yeah.
outside of our shelves.
I had a feeling you would sneak in some of your own, but I'm glad that you were able to find some on my shelves already.
I did. I did. Okay. So I don't know. I don't really have a particular order. So I'm just going to jump in, but I do think this book that I am going to say first should be on your pause pile, right?
Okay.
That pile of books that you could just pick up whenever you have a couple of minutes. It's the perfect book to read in the morning to set yourself up for the kind of be, do, feel framework you want to have. And I honestly think it is the perfect match for what you've just talked about and what you're looking for, and that is Soul Shift.
Okay.
Soul Shift by Rachel Macy Stafford. This book has the most sticky flags than
Mm,
any other book I have ever read in it. It's a beautiful book that feels like an exhale. The writing is beautiful, it is lyrical, there's a lot of white space on the page as well, and it's an invitation to just set it all down. Right. And I
okay.
know in your Be Do Feel framework, like you want to be able to let go. You want to be able to embrace imperfections, to give yourself grace. Soul Shift is first the inspiration for why we might want to do that in the first place. So it'll really validate what you're feeling and what you're looking for. But then it comes the practical steps and the practical strategies of how Rachel suggests we might be able to do that. It's a book that you need to read with your notebook close by
Okay.
because I imagine it will spark a lot of reading as well. But it has all the things for you. It's about letting go, it's about embracing imperfection, it is about grace for sure. It is about boundaries and presence and calm and peace and all of the things. So I think starting off with this nonfiction as an anchor we're educators. A central text, an anchor text
Hmm. Hmm.
for your stack. I think Soul Shift is the way to go.
Okay, I know exactly where it is on my bookshelf. And it was one that was recommended by you in the community at one time.
Mhm.
So that sounds perfect. That's why I need these little nudges today of why I need to pick up these books at this time. So sounds good.
Yeah. Okay. So if that was nonfiction, I will jump to a fiction recommendation. This one jumped right out at me. And I think you'll love it because of what you're looking for in your apothecary, but because you're an educator and you love words and you love books and you love stories. And so the next one I recommend is the fiction novel, The Keeper of Stories by Sally Page.
Hmm.
This is a book. It really has two main characters, one young protagonist and one older woman in her 90s. And the young character is what she calls a keeper of stories. She cleans houses for a living, and the objects and the energy and just the feelings in the homes, they communicate stories to her. She can tell the story of an object or a person or a place as she is cleaning. But when she goes to this 90-something-year-old's home, that person realizes that there is a story in her. And she resists it at first because she's all about everybody else and getting their stories. And she doesn't really have a story, but we all do. And this person is attempting to coax it out of her. And it reminds me so much of what we do as educators, right? You started off the episode, we pour in to the
Hmm.
kids, to the teachers, to everything. And sometimes, especially as upholders and number ones, we may not pour back into ourselves or remember that. So I think that is a reason why this book could be good for you. But also in your submission, you talked about you love learning. You love
Hmm.
getting new perspectives and new ideas, and I think this book could give that to you. I know you're not a fan of fantasy, neither am I, but it's just a bit of magical, just a teeny bit of
Yeah.
magical realism that I think you would love based on what I know you've said about other books in the past.
Yeah, I do those little smidges of that, magical realism and those types of books. I have been, gravitating more towards. And this one actually was one that I bought my mom. She's also an avid reader. I had bought it for her and, read the back and thought this sounds perfect for her. And then she gave it back to me as oh, I loved it. You need to read it.
Mhm.
So I know exactly again where it is on my shelves. And maybe after reading that, I'll be able to chit chat a little bit with my mom about it because I did buy it for her for, I forget what holiday it was, but it was one that I'd gifted already.
Perfect. I love
Yeah.
that. I love when you read it and then it's like a mini book club of two with someone
Hmm.
else who has read it.
I do too.
Okay. All right, two for two then. They both
Yep.
sound good to you. The third one I'm going to recommend. Now, I have not read this one, but I have read books like it. And I know you, like me, we are both upholders for Gretchen Rubin. We both really enjoy personality frameworks. We worked together around them when we were coaching together. And I honestly, I don't know my Enneagram number, and I'm realizing I need to. I do know that I'm a generator. I don't remember
Okay.
what framework that was. Is that human design? Maybe. I think it's
Yeah,
human design.
I think that is. Yes.
And I read a book on human design and was very much impacted by it. But I feel like knowing you and knowing that you're trying to harness these more relaxed, calmer, gracier, that's not a word, but you know what I mean, kind of side of your personality. And because you're an upholder, we're going to need help doing that.
Hmm.
So I think The Road Back to You, an Enneagram Journey to Self-Discovery by Ian Morgan. I Cron, I scribbled the last name. So The Road Back to You, an Enneagram Journey to Self-Discovery, I think would be a good one as you're trying to learn how to let go and have less control. That's really, really hard for someone in our personality to do. So I feel like this book may be a how-to help you get closer to that grace kind of feeling that you're looking for.
Okay, funny story is one I'm reading right now. because I had to pick some books off my shelves. Okay. And it was one that with March, it was one that had been calling to me. It was actually sitting by my bed for a while in a stack, like you mentioned, having those stacks around the house. And I just picked it up the other day, and it's very interesting. So, because I do know my number, I probably should take it again just to see that, I've taken that test a while back, and I should do it again just to see if I still am. I'm pretty sure I still am, but it'll be interesting. But that is just too funny because it is one that I've been reading the past couple days, and it really does help you dig in deeper with your personality and with others to help you have grace maybe towards others, right? Because now you know their personality and the traits about them. And that sometimes that's just how they're wired, right? So
Yes.
you have to kind of go with that.
Yeah. Oh, good. Okay, 3 for 3 now then.
Yeah.
Okay. So the last one, and this one definitely has a bit more magical realism in it. But again, in your submission, talking about learning about others, learning about new topics, I feel like you would love Before the Coffee Gets Cold.
Okay.
So Before the Coffee Gets Cold, I believe I'm saying this right, Toshikazu Kawaguchi. So the premise of this one is that there is this kind of magical coffee shop, and when you go and you sit in the same place and you have this particular drink, while you're there, you are able to travel back in time
Mm,
to something, whether that's someone you wish you could have met, a situation that you wish you could have redone, something you would have changed in your life. There's different ways that the different characters go about it, but it is a book that invites perspective taking, right? And just thinking about what someone else might feel, but also different perspectives on what's happening in your own life from different points of view. And that
okay.
that is just something that I feel like jumped out from your submission as well. And it's one of those books that just makes you reflect and remember what matters most. And that just seems to be a theme for me when you talk about those beautiful words in your book, Apothecary. Those are the things that really matter. And I feel
Mhm.
like this book and the ones that come after it can really give that to someone.
Okay. And it's a small little book too.
Yes.
I know where it is, and I'm thinking about it, and it doesn't look like a long one. So probably an easy, easy read, but sounds powerful, a lot in there. And again, I think it was maybe one recommended on our community. So it's probably that's why I picked
Yeah.
it up.
Yeah. Okay, so if we took out The Road Back to You, since you're currently reading it, and we think about the other three that I've recommended from your stack, The Keeper of Stories by Sally Page, Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi, or Soul Shift by Rachel Macy Stafford, which one do you think you will lean into next?
That Soul Shift one really has my attention now,
I'm
because
so happy. Good.
yeah, it sounds like something that just is what I need at this moment, right? Books find us at the right time. And
Yes.
this is one that sounds like would be a good one. I like that you said to have my notebook ready and to, some white margins that I can take some notes and
Mhm.
to have set aside some time for doing just that with that particular book. So I think that one definitely will make its way to the top of my
Good.
toppling over TBR pile.
Yes, you will catch this one. This will be the
Yes,
first one that you
yes.
have. Okay, that makes me happy. Now, those aside, you already own them. I
Hmm.
cannot help but just recommend a couple of more to you that
All
you
right.
haven't read yet, but I think you would like. And the first one is called or is titled The Incredible Kindness of Paper by
Hmm.
Evelyn Sky. Have you heard of this one?
Not at all. No.
Okay, so this one you've talked about kindness in your book Apothecary, being less in control, being more kind, um, calm, peace, being more present. This is a book that book lovers and paper lovers love. It is based on this one character who's going through something hard. And to help cheer herself up, she writes herself these little notes of affirmation on these little yellow pieces of paper that she folds into origami shapes. And she leaves them for herself as reminders to stay positive and to be in a good mindset. Well, one of them happens to escape from her home and find its way to a neighbor. And that neighbor is very much touched and impacted by that. And so she decides to not keep them just for herself, but to leave them all over the city. And the
Oh,
book is about what happens when people find them, when people might connect around them. It reminds me of like the reading list or the authenticity project or, just those books that remind you of how connected we
mm-hmm.
really are and how, again, some of the hard stuff we might be going through, it's there, but underneath are always these more kinder, more present, more just relaxed feelings. And
Right.
this is a book, this has got my name. It had my name written all over it. And I think this would be a good one to cultivate your book Apothecary too.
Oh, sounds great. Never heard of it. It's The Incredible. Remind me again the
The
title.
Incredible Kindness of Paper
Kindness of Paper.
by
Okay.
Evelyn Sky.
So it's a fiction book. To me
It
at first,
is.
yeah, when I first heard the title, I was sort of like, is it fiction, nonfiction? But
Oh,
now
right,
I
like a
understand.
how-to, like for
Yeah,
for
yeah,
writing
like,
your
yeah,
notes.
just, yeah, it kind of sounded like it. But yeah, definitely sounds like something that I've read in the past with those other books you mentioned, and just some hope, right? Some hope right now that we might all
Yes.
need. Yes.
That's
So,
that's the word. Yes, hope.
yeah,
This book is about hope for sure.
yeah, sounds good.
The second one is nonfiction. And even though you haven't mentioned it in the episode yet, in your submission, you did talk about your love of yoga and Pilates and kind
Yes.
of using those as tools to feel better and move through life. And so this is a brand new book by Brett Larkin,
Mm,
who I've recommended, I think, to the community in the past. Her first book called Yoga Life, which is about how to
mhm.
bring a yoga practice into the everyday. And this book is called Healing with Somatic Yoga. It's a
Oh,
very different look at yoga. It's not your typical vinyasa class with twisty poses and, you know, Lululemon leggings. It's the yoga you do in your jammies in the morning for 3 minutes to calm your nervous system.
ah,
Or, when you're going through an anxious period or have anxiety or your hips hurt or your back is tight, what's the connection between our bodies and our minds and our hearts? And how can abandoning the traditional yoga practice in, I guess, not in replacement of, but just in addition to thinking about more of the calming, relaxing, soothing aspects on our nervous system. She does a great job talking about the research why, and a really great job of showing, especially for us as women, as we keep going through those seasons of life, like why having a practice like this is so important as our stress levels go up,
mm-hmm.
what we can do to just heal ourselves from the inside out. Such a beautiful book.
Okay. Does she give you some yoga to practice then within the book?
Yes.
Yes. So it's practical. Okay.
Yes, very
Sounds good.
practical. So you'll get the background, you'll get the practices. There's links to things online so that you can
Oh,
see what some of it is. It's talking
great.
about your poses, your movement, your breathing, the affirmations you tell yourself. It really is just a little bit of everything wrapped up into this. It's one of my current coping mechanisms as somatic
Okay.
yoga. So
Yes, yes, somatic
I
yoga.
think that'd
Yes,
be a
I
good
keep
one.
hearing. I have heard, keep hearing about that, and your lymphatic drainage. Does that have
Yes.
something to do with that, right? Okay, yes, something along
Yes.
those lines. Oh, that's something
That's
that's
in there
been
too.
piquing my interest, actually. So, how about that you brought
Good.
that up today? Yes.
Good. Good. I'm glad. Okay. So then I'm going to give you one more, and this is also nonfiction. And I'm giving you this one because I know you and your Instagram, and I know you and your monthly newsletter that goes out, and I love it. And I want people to know about it, and I want you to do more of it. So I'm
Mhm.
recommending a book by Seth Godin to you. Have you read his work before?
No, never heard of them. So this is
Okay.
good.
Oh my gosh, Seth Godin, you will love him. He's wonderful. He's just about putting your ideas out into the world and finding confidence on the inside and sharing it with others to make their lives better too. the book that I recommend for you is called The Practice.
Okay.
Shipping Creative Work is the subtitle. So, The Practice, Shipping Creative Work by Seth Godin. And it's a book of like these little mini essays almost. So you could read it like a day book where you just read a dose of information a day. But as someone who is always putting stuff out there for others, right? You may be retired, but you're still working with teachers and you're still sharing your voice. And Dawn Devour's books on Instagram is one of my favorites, your newsletter. I feel like this book could give you that inspiration and that encouragement to keep doing it and to do more
Oh,
of it.
awesome. Yeah.
Because I've shared with you before, I love when I get that ping and your monthly s'more comes into my inbox. So this is me saying you love the learning, you love the reading, you love the journaling, and I think you should share more of it. So I am
Thank
recommending this book to you as the last one I'll
you.
share that
Okay.
you haven't read yet.
Woo. All right. The Stephanie made me do it pile. That was
Yes!
great.
My favorite hashtag of all
Good.
time.
Yes,
Stephanie made
because
me
they
do.
all sound wonderful and they all hit a different niche, in my life right now.
Yeah.
Oh, those all sound wonderful. Thanks
Oh,
for
good.
recommending those. They all sound great. And I appreciate the kudos about the Dawn Devouring newsletter because it is something that's just been going on what maybe third year with doing that, right?
Yeah.
And just my numbers are increasing with people reading it. And that's just makes me so happy that I'm spreading out that, love for, reading and just those little things of learning and, even just some positivity that I like to think
Yeah.
I'm spreading.
Where can people find that? So if they want to sign up for it too, let's give
Yeah.
give them the Instagram details and I'll make sure to put it in the show notes too.
Oh, thank you. So on Instagram, I my handle would be Dawn Devours with that S on their books. So it's all one word, Dawn Devours Books. And then every month, in the link tree in the bio is where I will have my monthly newsletter, and I send it out the last day of the month. So the next one will be coming out next Tuesday on March 31st. And within that, as Steffi has mentioned, the framework of that are just things that what's done devouring as far as reading lately, watching lately, listening to lately, loving lately, and learning lately. So that's kind of the framework that is set up around. Again, as she mentioned too, the books that I put on there, a lot of them are the newer release books. So I like to kind of promote those so people know, is this one that I should put on my shelf or move up on my TBR pile. So that's where you can find me. Love it. Thank you for the promotion.
Oh, of course. And you have, a Dawn Devour's book scale. You and I both abandoned traditional stars when we
Yes,
write for
yes,
ourselves. I love to talk about the heart books and you have your Dawn Devour scale, which
yes.
which I love.
Yes, and I usually only post. Someone said, "Oh, you never post below, usually a 4 or a 5." And I feel like those are the ones that resonate with me, so I want to put those out into the world. My do not finish books or the ones that are a little bit lower don't find their way into the newsletter, but that's kind of a reason, why is because I want to put those books out that I felt that hit me in a way and hopefully will resonate with my readers.
Yeah. And that's why I get book FOMO every time I open it.
See, Dawn made me do it. We'll start a
Yes,
new
Dawn made
hashtag.
me do it. We'll just switch the hashtags.
Right.
Oh, well, thank you for coming on, Dawn. This was fun. This is a nice challenge, and hopefully, you've got books that you'll be reading on your stack. I know we've probably made others add to their TBR piles too. So,
Yes, I
thanks for
think
coming
so.
on today.
Very much. And like I said, this is going to be um, something that I'm going to create and have in front of me, right in front of me so that I can see those books. That's another important thing is,
Mhm.
having them visible. And by creating that little pile or bookshelf in front of me with these on there. And probably will have to go and find these three that you recommended to buy as well to add to that pile.
Sorry,
Yes.
not sorry.
Yeah, sorry, not sorry. Exactly. Well, this has been great. I'm glad you were up for the challenge. I thought it would be fun since this was the month of reading our books from our shelves. And you did it, having to look through all of those. You did a great job of finding those ones, and especially even finding the one that I'm reading now. How funny is
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, that's validation for me right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, right.
All right.
Exactly.
Well, thanks, Dawn. And listeners, thank you for listening to another episode, and I'll see you in the next one.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Restorative Reading and Writing for Wellness podcast. You'll find links to all of the books, resources, and ideas mentioned in the show notes and at alitlife.com. And if you want more, you might like to join my Get Literate Substack community. There, you'll find additional inspiration for your reading and writing life, like bonus podcast episodes, book calendars, monthly book clubs, notebooking inspiration, live events, giveaways, and much more. It's only $5 a month, and you get instant access to all of the previous content, too. You can learn more at getliterate.co. But there's one more thing. If you love what you listened to today, please take a moment to rate and review the podcast, or take a screenshot of the episode and text it to a friend. This helps the podcast grow and builds our bookish and notebookish community, too. Thanks for listening, everyone.